Let's start with something uncomfortable. You save for months, maybe years, to buy a Rolex. You finally walk into an authorized dealer, heart racing, ready to spend serious money. And instead of being welcomed as a customer, you're treated like a favor seeker. Glass cases filled with watches you're allowed to look at, but never allowed to buy. A polite smile. A vague promise. Put your name down, we'll call you. They never do. So the question isn't why people are frustrated. The real question is why this system exists at all. Because Rolex isn't a small boutique brand struggling to keep up with demand. It's a manufacturing powerhouse producing well over 1 million watches every year, controlling roughly 1/3 of the entire Swiss watch industry. So why does it feel impossible to buy one? The answer isn't demand, it's design. And today, we're breaking down how Rolex engineered one of the most sophisticated scarcity systems in luxury history, and why the customer experience you hate is not a mistake. Before we dive in, if you appreciate deep dives that actually connect the dots, make sure you're subscribed and notifications are on. The illusion of scarcity. The modern Rolex buying experience feels less like shopping and more like an audition. You don't browse, you don't compare, you don't decide. You wait. And the moment you walk through the door, the power dynamic flips. You're no longer the buyer. You're the applicant. Sales associates quietly assess how you dress, how you speak, what you wear on your wrist, and, most importantly, how useful you might be to them. Because that famous waitlist, it's not a list, it's a filter. There is no chronological order, no fairness, no transparency. Your position isn't based on time, it's based on value to the dealer. And value doesn't come from patience. It comes from spending money on things you never wanted. The purchase history trap. Here's how the system actually works. If you want a highly desirable steel sports model, you're gently pushed toward buying high-margin jewelry, slower-moving watches, or precious metal pieces that don't sell on their own. Not because the dealer likes you, because they have to move inventory Rolex forces them to take. Insiders have long whispered about an internal allocation imbalance, where for every handful of hot models a dealer receives, they must accept a far larger number of unpopular ones. So what happens? The desirable watch becomes leverage. Buy enough unwanted stock, and maybe you'll be rewarded with the piece you originally came in for. This isn't retail, it's tribute. And it works because Rolex allows it to. Why Rolex lets this happen? Officially, Rolex claims scarcity is accidental. They insist quality limits production. But the numbers tell a different story. Production of core models has steadily increased for years. The watches exist. They just aren't distributed evenly. Scarcity isn't happening at the factory, it's happening at the point of sale. By keeping cases empty, Rolex preserves mystique while letting dealers absorb customer frustration. The brand remains untouchable. The dealer becomes the villain. And while customers fight for allocation, something else quietly grows in the background. The rise of the shadow market. This is where the gray market enters. Authentic, brand-new Rolex watches, sold outside authorized channels at massive premiums. Where do they come from? The same dealer system. VIP clients receive coveted watches as rewards, then flip them instantly for guaranteed profit. Some dealers quietly offload unwanted inventory in bundles. Others look the other way. Rolex publicly condemns the gray market, but functionally, it benefits them. Secondary prices act as free global advertising. They prove value. They reinforce scarcity. They turn watches into financial instruments. The gray market doesn't undermine Rolex. It validates the illusion. For decades, this ecosystem worked perfectly. But it was never the final goal. The end game begins. Everything changed when Rolex made two moves. First, it began acquiring massive retail operations, bringing the customer relationship in-house. Second, it launched its own certified pre-owned program. With that single step, Rolex positioned itself to profit not just from selling a watch once, but from selling the same watch repeatedly. New, used, certified, resold, all under their control. The gray market they quietly fueled became something they could now replace. Total vertical control. When you zoom out, the strategy becomes clear. Phase 1. Manufacture scarcity through dealers. Create frustration. Build desire. Allow resale hype to explode. Phase 2. Let independent players handle the mess. Gather pricing data. Watch the market mature. Phase 3. Step in directly. Control retail. Control resale. Control the entire life cycle. What felt like chaos was actually groundwork. The long waits, the humiliation, the games. They weren't accidental. They were infrastructure. What happens next? The old system is fading. Independent dealers lose leverage. Gray market margins compress. Retail becomes centralized. But the question remains, will the experience actually improve for the average buyer? Or will it simply become a cleaner, more corporate version of the same controlled scarcity, just without the illusion of independence? That's the real debate now. And I want to hear from you. Do you think Rolex taking direct control will finally make buying one fair? Or just more polished? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you want more breakdowns like this, without the hype and without the myths, make sure you're subscribed. We're just getting started.